While I was busy at work, an unexpected email interrupted my day. It was from my husband Jack, who calmly confessed over the phone that he had fallen in love with someone else and was planning to start a new life with her. Shockingly, he also mentioned his intention to take the luxury camper van that we had recently bought, a purchase made in my name through a loan. Despite my efforts to reason with him, Jack disregarded my pleas, abruptly ended the conversation, and soon became unreachable. Eventually, he vanished with his new partner, leaving me and our 12-year-old son, Gary, burdened with a significant debt. My name is Lauren, a 40-year-old mother, navigating through life with Gary, a remarkably bright child who loves to read and discuss complex topics. Unlike Gary, Jack has always been unpredictable, rarely holding on to a job for long. Despite these challenges, he managed to keep a stable income for the past 4 years, which brought a sense of relief to our family's financial stability. Our family, despite its imperfections, had moments of joy and dreams of making lasting memories together. One of these dreams involved purchasing a $55,000 camper van to explore and create adventures as a family. Unfortunately, due to Jack's poor credit history, I had to secure the loan for the van under my name. The day we were supposed to celebrate the van's arrival, I was blindsided by Jack's email, in which he claimed the van for himself, citing the loan was in my name and I would be responsible for its repayments. This abrupt revelation, followed by his confession of love for another woman, left me in a state of shock and uncertainty. At 40, with a son to raise and a sudden financial burden, I found myself pondering our future, unsure of the next steps to take in this unexpected turn of events. What started as a fleeting connection unexpectedly grew serious, prompting Jack to declare his intentions to start anew with someone else and leave our shared life behind. During a brief and unsettling phone call, he referenced our previous discussions about divorce conversations that emerged during heated arguments. Jack stated he would proceed with the divorce, swiftly ending the conversation and leaving me in a state of shock. This moment was the stark realization of Jack's betrayal, a harsh revelation that hit me deeply. Despite my attempts to reach out to him following this exchange, he remained silent, never responding to my calls or emails. Upon returning home one day, I discovered the drawer where we kept important documents, including our discussed divorce papers, was empty. Jack had taken them. This left me facing the immense financial strain of a $55,000 car loan we had taken together. Amidst this turmoil, my son Gary noticed my distress. His worry became evident one evening when he approached me, his voice laced with concern, asking if I was okay, noting my lack of appetite and the unusual atmosphere at home. Caught off guard by his perceptiveness, I realized I could no longer shield him from the truth. Hesitantly, I opened up to Gary, sharing the painful details of what had transpired. His response was surprisingly mature. He seemed to have anticipated the changes in our family dynamics, although I sensed the news affected him more than he let on. Inwardly, I apologized to him, feeling a profound sadness for the upheaval in his young life. As the days passed, the weight of the situation took a toll on me, both emotionally and physically. My health began to decline, a fact I could no longer ignore when I found myself unable to stand during a training session at work. Despite my attempts to reassure my colleagues, I collapsed, my body succumbing to the overwhelming stress. When I awoke, I was in a hospital room, a stark reminder of the toll the ordeal had taken on me. Amidst the physical and emotional chaos, the support from those around me, especially Gary, became a beacon of strength, reminding me of the resilience needed to navigate through the aftermath of Jack's departure and the challenges that lay ahead. After receiving a concerning diagnosis from the doctor, I was admitted to the hospital for further tests. There, lying in the hospital bed, hooked up to an IV drip and staring at the stark white ceiling, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the situation. It was supposed to be stress from emotional turmoil, Yet there I was, feeling utterly defeated. As tears began to flow, my son Gary, who usually maintains his composure, burst into the room, his face etched with worry. His sudden appearance prompted me to quickly dry my eyes. "Mom, what's going on? It's not serious, is it? You're not going to leave me, are you?" he asked, his voice laced with fear. "Of course not, sweetheart. I could never leave you," I reassured him, attempting to mask my own fears. Gary explained how he had been notified by his school teacher about my hospitalization, how shocked and scared he had been. Despite his maturity, he was still just a 12-year-old boy, a realization that steeled my resolve to recover. However, my health situation was more grave than I initially thought. Diagnosed with a serious illness, the doctor recommended immediate surgery. Following the doctor's advice, I underwent the procedure, and a month passed before I was discharged, a month since Jack had left us. Upon returning home, I found a demand letter for the car loan payment in the mailbox, a payment that should have been automatically deducted from my account. In a panic, I checked our finances, only to discover that our account, which previously held $30,000, was now almost empty, with just $55.90 remaining. It was clear to me Jack was responsible. The urge to confront him and demand the money back surged through me, but he was unreachable, and without the camper van he took, selling it to recover the funds wasn't an option. The realization that Jack had not only taken the van but also drained our savings hit me hard. Physically weakened and financially devastated, I felt utterly helpless. Gary, sensing my despair, offered a comforting touch, his hand on my forehead. "You look pale, Mom. Are you okay?" His innocence and concern were touching, yet it pained me to admit the reality. "Physically, I might be fine, Gary, but your father took more than just the car, he took all our savings too. I can't work right now because of my health, and we're out of money. I just don't know what we're going to do," I confessed, the weight of our predicament pressing down on me. Despite the challenges, Gary's unwavering support provided a glimmer of hope. Together, we faced an uncertain future, but his resilience reminded me of the strength we shared as a family, even in the darkest of times. Motivated by my son's determination, I found myself pulling away from the grip of despair. "I see, then I'll find some work too," I declared, bolstered by my 12-year-old son's resolve to contribute by delivering newspapers and looking for work online. It wasn't the time to feel defeated. "Sorry for worrying you, Gary. I can't let myself be weakened by this. I'll shift my mindset and do everything in our power," I said, offering him a reassuring smile. Gary's smile mirrored mine, and then he proposed something wholly unexpected. "Let's figure out a way to get the camper van back from Dad." "How can we do that?" he asked with a spark of resolve in his eyes. "Yes, the camper van is registered in my name, but what can we do about that?" I pondered aloud, intrigued by his line of thinking. Gary then shared an idea so innovative it took me by surprise, an idea I hadn't considered. Despite not knowing Jack's whereabouts, Gary suggested we use technology at our fingertips. Recalling a family hiking trip where we had felt lost, we had bought Gary a kid's cell phone, equipped with a GPS app accessible by both Jack and me. With this app, Gary believed we could track Jack's location in real time, a thought that hadn't crossed my mind. But what if we confront him and he manages to evade us again? I questioned, skeptical of our chances in such a scenario. "Don't worry, I've taken some precautions," Gary said, his smile widening with confidence. I was astonished by his foresight. While I was hospitalized, Gary had independently set a plan in motion, uncovering information about Jack's mistress and plotting our next steps with a maturity far beyond his years. "All right, let's show Dad the consequences of his betrayal," I agreed, feeling a newfound strength with Gary by my side. Together, we prepared to face Jack, my son's intelligence and bravery filling me with pride. With Gary by my side, I feel invincible. Let's do this, I thought to myself, ready for whatever lay ahead. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was Jack, sounding desperate. "Ah, it's me. I need your help. The police are questioning me about you, and they might ask me to come to the station voluntarily. Please help me," he pleaded. "Oh, is that so? Just wait a moment," I replied, maintaining my composure. Gary and I quickly headed to the location provided, a forest park near our house known for camping. There we found Jack being interrogated by the police beside his car, his expression a mix of confusion and dismay. The tables had turned. With careful planning and the element of surprise on our side, we were ready to face Jack and reclaim what was rightfully ours, standing united and stronger than ever. I took a deep breath and requested some privacy from the police, suggesting that Jack and I needed a moment to discuss matters privately. With an air of discomfort, heightened by the watchful eyes of bystanders, Jack hastily ushered Gary and me into the car. Inside, we were greeted by the sight of Jack's mistress sitting with an air of defiance, but her presence was the least of our concerns at that moment. "Sorry for the inconvenience, and thank you for coming. But why did the police show up? I'm confused," Jack started, genuinely puzzled by the turn of events. "The reason is simple. I reported the camper van as missing because, in essence, it was stolen," I explained calmly, despite the absurdity of Jack's logic that presumed marital disputes excluded criminal activities. "But we're married. How can it be stolen?" Jack argued, not grasping the gravity of his actions. I reminded him, "You filed for divorce, remember? That means, legally, we're no longer a couple but strangers. Taking a vehicle without the owner's consent is theft." It was Gary, with his sharp understanding, who pieced everything together, prompting a weak justification from Jack that he had only borrowed the van temporarily. "Well, I need my car back now. Handing over the keys would be very helpful," I said, extending my hand towards Jack, who, albeit reluctantly, complied. It was then that Gary, in his straightforward manner, questioned his father's decision to abandon his family for another woman. Caught off guard, Jack fumbled for words, only to be interrupted by his mistress's boastful claim of being the more attractive choice, which she believed justified Jack's departure. Gary's stern rebuke silenced her, turning the focus back on Jack for an explanation. When Jack hesitated, Gary threatened to involve the police again, prompting a hurried admission. Jack revealed that Martha, the other woman, had joined his company 5 months prior, and their affair began shortly after. The revelation of Martha's pregnancy led Jack to the decision to leave us and start anew with her. "Why did you take the camper van?" I asked, aiming to understand the rationale behind his decision amidst the chaos of his actions and decisions. "After leaving my job, I contemplated selling the camper van for some extra cash. However, it seemed you had other plans, Jack, using it for your escapades. I figured it was too hasty to sell it immediately, so we took it for a trip instead." "But how did you keep track of all this?" Jack asked, puzzled. I reminded him of the little safeguard we put in place after Gary's fox misadventure during a family hike. "Remember, we bought Gary a child's phone and installed a GPS tracking app. You seem to have forgotten we installed the same app on your phone, so I've been aware of your whereabouts all along." To my surprise, Gary later confessed he had orchestrated getting lost on that hike as a ploy to secure a phone for himself, a revelation that highlighted his cunning and foresight. I had my suspicions about Dad, so I devised this plan to keep an eye on him, Gary admitted, showcasing his adeptness at strategy. "You're quite the formidable child, Gary. I strive never to be the kind of adult who betrays those who matter." Without a second thought, Jack said, a trace of realization in his tone. Confronted by the blunt truth from his son, Jack appeared defeated, a stark contrast to the empowered feeling Gary's assertiveness and maturity instilled in me. As a mother, this bolstered my resolve to ensure everything was settled justly. And about the $30,000 you took from our account. I pressed on. That money needs to be returned immediately. It was our family's savings. Jack protested, but we were married. I don't have to give it back. That's where you're wrong. The money was mine, saved painstakingly from before we were even together. Your history of quitting jobs never really contributed to our savings, did it? I countered, dismayed yet vindicated to learn how the money was frivolously wasted by Jack and his mistress. It was a moment that cemented my relief over our impending divorce. So this is how it stands. If you appropriated the van and my savings for your use, that's a criminal offense. I informed him, ready to address the matter legally if necessary. Jack, trying to dismiss the severity, retorted, I've already sent the police away. It's not their concern anymore, right? I only agreed we would have a discussion. This encounter underscored the stark realities and the necessity of standing firm, ensuring that justice was served for the sake of our family's future and dignity. In the midst of our confrontation, I made it clear that retracting the complaint was out of the question. In fact, I was determined to add the theft of my money to the existing report. Sensing the gravity of the situation, Gary, ever so ready, offered to contact the police immediately using a quick feature on his child's phone. Martha, who had been silently observing our heated exchange from within the confines of the camper van, attempted a swift exit but was met with a startling surprise. Outside, her parents awaited, their expressions a vivid display of rage and disappointment. Her attempt to leave was halted by their presence, and her apologies were drowned out by their furious reprimands. Why are you here? How did you find out? Martha stammered, caught off guard. I took the liberty of contacting your parents in advance, I revealed. This turn of events was made possible by Gary's initiative. During my hospitalization, he had visited Jack's workplace to share our distressing situation. Moved by Gary's genuine distress, Jack's colleagues connected the dots to Martha, leading to the discovery of her parents' address. Jack and Martha's overly familiar behavior had not gone unnoticed at the office, further fueled by compromising photos from the company's welcoming party for new employees. With this information and Martha's known commute from her parents' house, I sought out her parents, shared the ordeal we were enduring, and arranged for them to be present at this pivotal moment. Martha's frustration was palpable as she accused me of betrayal, to which I retorted with my own grievances. The conversation took an unexpected turn when I commented on Martha's noticeably pregnant state, questioning the due date of the baby she was expecting in 5 months. This revelation brought the timeline into sharp focus, revealing a glaring discrepancy with the duration of her relationship with Jack. Caught off guard, Jack could only stare in disbelief as the realization dawned upon him. The child Martha was carrying could not possibly be his, given the timeline of their affair. This revelation exposed not just the infidelity, but also the deception Martha had orchestrated. Caught in her web of lies, Martha's facade crumbled as she nearly confessed to her deceit. Jack, now faced with the truth, was forced to confront the consequences of his actions, and the reality that the life he thought he was building on a foundation of lies was crumbling before his eyes. Caught in the midst of deception, Jack's frustration boiled over as he accused Martha of ruining his life with her lies. "You're so gullible, not seeing through the lies at all. A real fool," he exclaimed, as their argument spiraled into an ugly exchange. Amidst their quarrel, we reached out to the police to update them on the unfolding drama. As night fell, the forest park was illuminated by the eerie glow of police car lights, setting a dramatic scene for the conclusion of this ordeal. In a moment of desperation, Jack pleaded for forgiveness, acknowledging his wrongdoings and vowing never to stray again. However, Gary, wise beyond his years, dismissed his father's sudden change of heart with a dose of reality. People don't change overnight, especially not someone as unreliable as you. Echoing Gary's sentiment, I made it clear to Jack that I could not trust his hollow promises. It's time for you to face the consequences of your actions at the police station. As for the money, worry about repaying it after you've served your time, I told him, firm in my resolve. Jack worried about his ability to repay the stolen funds if incarcerated, but I assured him that arrangements would be made. Once you're out, you'll work off your debt, including the $30,000 you took and child support for Gary. We'll calculate the total amount out, I explained, already having a plan in place for his employment and repayment. Turning to Martha, I reminded her of her role in this debacle. You might consider yourself merely a bystander, but you're complicit in Jack's actions. Be ready to face the consequences. Her plea for help from her parents was met with rejection. They could not support a daughter who brought trouble upon others. Eventually, Jack and Martha were taken into custody, a testament to Gary's strategic thinking. Although they were released from detention shortly thereafter, they were confronted with a substantial financial obligation to me, arranged through legal channels. I successfully claimed $30,000 in damages and secured a child support agreement from Jack amounting to $800 monthly for Gary. Furthermore, I facilitated Jack's employment at a subcontracting factory associated with my workplace, ensuring his debts to us would be deducted directly from his earnings. With the camper van sold and the loan settled, my health saw a significant improvement, rejuvenating my energy and dedication to my work. Gary, too, took on more responsibilities around the house, embodying resilience and perseverance. Together, we look forward to moving ahead, stronger and more united than ever, ensuring Gary has every opportunity to follow his dreams without hindrance.